All right, let's dive into a world that's, well, it's so tiny you can't even see it without a microscope.
We're talking bacteria, of
Yeah,
course.
bacteria, those single-celled organisms that are, like, seriously everywhere.
Absolutely. From the soil we walk on to the air we breathe.
It's crazy to think about.
And it's funny, when most people think of bacteria, they think disease.
Right, like the bad guys.
Yeah, but that's not the whole story at all. It's kind of like judging a forest by just looking at a poison mushroom.
Ooh, I like that analogy. So today, we're going to be like your personal biology tutors, right?
Exactly.
We're going to break down this fascinating world of bacteria based on all the research you've given us,
Sounds good.
uncover their secrets, how scientists figure out what's what, and explore just how diverse and important they really are.
We'll even tackle the question of what is a bacterial species?
Ah, yeah, that's a good one. Because isn't it tricky with bacteria?
It really is. Unlike plants and animals, bacteria reproduce asexually and swap genes all the time.
Like trading cards.
Exactly, a constant genetic mixer.
So how on earth do scientists even begin to classify them with all that mixing going on?
Well, one way is by shape, just like we group objects by how they look.
Makes sense.
There are three main shapes: cocci, which are round; bacilli, which are rod-shaped; and spirally, which are like little spirals.
Cocci, bacilli, spirally. I vaguely remember those from high school bio.
I bet you do.
It makes sense that different shapes would give them, different advantages, right?
Exactly, kind of like how a sports car is built for speed and a truck is built for hauling.
Oh, perfect example.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are those different advantages?
Well, for instance, cocci, the round ones, they're really good at resisting drying out,
Oh, interesting.
which is why Streptococcus mutans, the bacteria that cause tooth decay, can hang out on your teeth, resisting the saliva.
Oh, yuck. Okay. I'm definitely picturing tiny bacterial marbles clinging to my teeth now. Good reminder to brush and floss.
Definitely a good idea.
So what about the other shapes? What kind of advantages do they have?
Well, bacilli, with their rod shape, they have a larger surface area, which makes them great at absorbing nutrients.
Makes sense. More surface to soak it all up.
And then the sterilli, with their spiral shape, can move through fluids super efficiently.
Ah, like tiny corkscrews.
Exactly. Take Treponema pallidum, for example, the bacteria that causes syphilis.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, that spiral shape helps it move through bodily fluids really, really well.
So it's like a microscopic race car zipping through the bloodstream. Okay, I'm really starting to appreciate how their shape plays a key role in their tiny world.
For sure.
But is shape the only way scientists classify bacteria?
Nope, definitely not. Scientists also group them by their cell wall structure using something called the Gram stain.
The Gram stain, now that rings a bell. Doesn't it have something to do with color?
It does. It was developed way back in 1884 by Hans Christian Gram, a Danish bacteriologist.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
It's a staining technique that differentiates bacteria based on the structure of their cell walls.
Okay.
Gram-positive bacteria stain purple and gram-negative stain pink.
So it's a color coding system that tells us about their inner structure. But it's more than just about looks, right?
Right. This seemingly simple color difference actually tells us a lot about how they will respond to antibiotics.
Oh, interesting.
Gram-negative bacteria with their more complex cell walls are generally tougher to treat.
So it's like the difference between trying to break through a fortress wall versus a simple wooden fence.
You got it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've covered shapes and cell walls, but what about, food? We all got to eat, and I'm assuming bacteria are no exception, right?
You're absolutely right. Just like us, bacteria need energy and nutrients to thrive, but they have a more, shall we say, diverse menu.
Well, that's interesting. What do bacteria like to munch on?
Well, based on their energy source and where they get their carbon, we classify bacteria into four main types.
4 types. Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so 2 types, the photoautotrophs and the photoheterotrophs. They're kind of like the sunbathers of the bacteria world.
Sunbathers. I like it.
They use light as their energy source.
Okay.
Photoautotrophs, like cyanobacteria, are pretty amazing. They use sunlight to produce energy through photosynthesis, just like plants.
Oh, wow. So they even release oxygen.
They do, just like plants. And that's a pretty big deal.
Cyanobacteria, sunlight, oxygen. It sounds like they played a pretty key role in shaping the Earth's atmosphere, right?
Absolutely. They were the pioneers of oxygenic photosynthesis billions of years ago, transforming the planet and making way for life as we know it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now, the photoheterotrophs are a little different. They also use light for energy, but get their carbon from organic compounds, like other organisms or their byproducts.
No, they're like a mix of plants and animals in terms of how they eat.
Exactly.
Fascinating. All right, so what about the other two types? Spill the beans.
Okay, the other two, the chemoautotrophs and the chemoheterotrophs, they get their energy from chemical compounds, not sunlight.
Chemical compounds, huh?
Yep, chemoheterotrophs are the most common type. They get both their energy and carbon from organic molecules.
Oh, so like the bacteria in our gut or the ones that decompose stuff?
Precisely. They're the ultimate recyclers, breaking down complex materials and releasing nutrients back into the ecosystem.
Oh, so they're like nature's cleanup crew. Super important job.
Very important. Now, the chematotrophs, they're the truly remarkable ones.
Okay, I'm all ears. What makes them so special?
They can use inorganic compounds, things like hydrogen sulfide or ammonia, for energy.
Wow.
Something no other life form can do. It's like they're living off chemicals that would be toxic to us.
Hardcore survivors, for sure, thriving in extreme environments, right?
Exactly. You'll find them in places like deep sea hydrothermal vents or acidic hot springs.
Wow, talk about tough.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about shapes, cell walls, and even what they eat, but what about how they, make more bacteria? It's not all just splitting in two, right?
That's a great question, and you're right. It's not always that simple.
Okay, I'm ready to hear about these bacterial baby-making tricks.
Well, while binary fission, that simple splitting in two, is their main way to reproduce, they do have some sneaky ways to mix up their genes.
Ooh, sneaky. I like it. Tell me more.
One of their coolest tricks is called conjugation. It's kind of like bacteria sharing secrets or swapping cool gadgets.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does that work?
Imagine you have a USB drive with a bunch of useful files on it, and you want to give those files to a friend.
Okay, so you plug it into their computer.
Exactly, and transfer the files. That's kind of like what bacteria do with conjugation.
Oh, I see.
They use these things called pili, which are like little bridges, to connect to each other and transfer bits of DNA called plasmids.
So it's like a bacterial internet sharing genetic information.
That's a great way to put it. And it allows them to adapt and evolve super quickly, especially in environments that are constantly changing.
So that's how they can develop resistance to antibiotics so
You
quickly.
got it? It's a big problem.
It is a serious issue, and I think our listener would really benefit from understanding just how antibiotic resistance works.
Excellent.
Could you break that down for us?
Sure. So antibiotics are like weapons, right? Designed to disrupt those essential bacterial processes.
Like building cell walls or making proteins.
Exactly. But bacteria are masters of adaptation.
They always seem to find a way.
Right, and they can become resistant to antibiotics in a few different ways. One way is through random mutations in their DNA.
So like a typo in their genetic code.
Exactly. And sometimes those typos can accidentally give them an advantage, making them less susceptible to a particular antibiotic.
So it's like a game of chance. A random mutation could make them resistant.
It really is survival of the fittest at the microscopic level.
Mm-hmm.
Another way they can become resistant is by actually acquiring resistance genes from other bacteria.
Oh, wow. So through that conjugation process we just talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those plasmids they share can carry genes that can, for example, break down antibiotics or pump them out of the cell.
So it's like they're sharing blueprints for building antibiotic defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And the more they share, the more widespread resistance becomes.
Exactly, and that's a big concern. The overuse and misuse of antibiotics are making this problem worse.
It's like we're giving them a training ground to evolve resistance by exposing them to antibiotics when they're not even needed.
That's a great way to put it. And that's why it's so important to use antibiotics responsibly only when they're truly necessary.
And to always finish the entire course of antibiotics, even if you start feeling better before you're done.
Exactly. That helps ensure that all the bacteria are eliminated and reduces the risk of resistance developing.
So it's like a game of whack-a-mole.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get every last one, or they'll just pop up again even stronger.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Along with using antibiotics responsibly, preventing the spread of infections in the first place is really important too.
Oh, right, like washing our hands, covering our coughs and sneezes.
Exactly. Simple things like that can make a big difference.
Okay, so we've covered some of the not-so-fun things about bacteria, but let's shift gears and talk about how they're actually, essential for life on Earth.
Totally. While some bacteria can cause harm, the vast majority are harmless and actually play vital roles in keeping our planet running smoothly.
It's easy to forget about them because they're so small,
Yeah.
but their impact is enormous.
Absolutely. They're like the unseen engineers of our ecosystems, driving biogeochemical cycles, breaking down organic matter, even influencing the Earth's climate.
So, like, what are some specific examples of the good things bacteria do?
Well, one of the most critical roles they play is in decomposition.
Oh, right, breaking down all the dead stuff.
Exactly. They're nature's recyclers, breaking down dead plants and animals and returning those nutrients to the soil.
So without bacteria, all that dead stuff would just pile up,
It would Think about a fallen log in the forest. Without bacteria and other decomposers, it would just sit there forever.
locking up all those valuable nutrients.
Exactly. So bacteria are like the cleanup crew of the natural world. They keep things tidy and ensure a constant flow of nutrients.
Makes sense. What else?
They're also crucial for nitrogen fixation.
Nitrogen fixation.
Yeah, that's the process of converting atmospheric nitrogen into a form that plants can use.
Oh, I see, because plants need nitrogen, right?
They do. It's essential for building proteins and other important molecules, but plants can't directly absorb the nitrogen gas that makes up most of our atmosphere.
So they need a little help from the bacteria.
They do. Certain bacteria have this incredible ability to convert nitrogen gas into ammonia, which plants can easily absorb.
It's like a partnership, both benefiting.
Exactly. A beautiful example of symbiosis. And their contributions go far beyond the soil. They play crucial roles in aquatic ecosystems, too, breaking down pollutants, cycling nutrients, forming the base of food webs.
Wow, they really do it all.
And remember those cyanobacteria we talked about earlier?
The oxygen-producing superhero.
Those are major primary producers in aquatic environments, providing food and oxygen for tons of other organisms.
It's amazing to think about these tiny, invisible organisms having such a huge impact on everything around us.
I know, right? From the soil beneath our feet to the vast oceans, there's a whole ecosystem we rarely think about, but it's teeming with life and activity.
It's almost like a hidden world.
It is. And don't forget about the bacteria living inside us.
Right. The trillions of bacteria in our gut.
Those guys are hard at work, helping us digest food, produce vitamins, and even influencing our immune system.
It's like having a whole army of microscopic helpers inside us.
Exactly. It's called the gut microbiome, all those bacteria and other microbes living in our digestive tract.
And it affects everything from our digestion to our immune system.
Even our mental health.
It's like a hidden world within us, and we're only just starting to understand how it all works.
It's true. And it's another example of just how adaptable and resilient bacteria are.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about that. Thriving in extreme environments and all.
Exactly. From boiling hot springs to freezing glaciers, from the depths of the ocean to acidic volcanic craters.
They're the ultimate survivors.
And their adaptability also extends to their ability to break down pollutants.
Oh wow. So they can help us clean up the environment.
Exactly. It's called bioremediation, using bacteria to break down harmful substances like oil spills or industrial waste.
So they're like nature's tiny cleanup crew.
They are, working tirelessly to restore balance and heal our planet.
It really is amazing how diverse and adaptable they are. They've been around for billions of years, constantly evolving and adapting. It's no wonder they continue to surprise us.
I know, it really makes you appreciate these tiny creatures.
There's so much we still don't know.
It's true, the microbial world is vast, and there are so many mysteries left to uncover. And every new discovery just leads to more questions and possibilities.
That's what makes science so cool.
It really is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of bacteria, what's one final thought you'd leave our listener with? You know, something to really make them think about the impact of these tiny organisms.
Well, we've talked about how essential bacteria are for life on Earth.
Right, from nutrient cycling to our own health.
Exactly. So I'd ask, imagine a world without bacteria. What would it be like?
That's a good one. It seems simple, but when you really think about it, I mean, no bacteria, no decomposition.
Right. Imagine all that dead stuff just piling up.
And without nitrogen fixation, plants wouldn't be able to grow.
It would disrupt the entire food chain.
It's the domino effect. Wow.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about what would happen to us.
Exactly. Our gut health would be a mess. Our immune system's weakened. Who knows what the long-term consequences would be?
It's mind-blowing when you really start to think about how much we rely on bacteria,
They're the silent partners in the grand scheme of life.
working behind the scenes to keep everything running.
The unsung heroes of our planet.
Well said. So to our listener, keep exploring this amazing world.
Don't just focus on the bad bacteria.
Right, dive deeper into the diversity and the importance of these often overlooked organisms.
There's a whole universe waiting to be discovered.
Right under our noses. And remember, every time you see a plant growing, a leaf decomposing, even when you feel a rumble in your tummy, thank the bacteria.
They're hard at work.
Even the smallest things can have the biggest impact. Keep those brains buzzing, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the world around you. Until next time, happy